Well, hello, Facebook friends. With me now is Steve Ehlmann, the St. Charles County Executive. And Ehlmann won his Republican primary last night, defeating former state senator Bill Eigel and Jason Law. But Bill Eigel was kind of almost the main guy on this. Ehlmann defeated him, and so he won his Republican primary. Steve, how do you feel?
Great. I feel great. Still have another election to win in November, not taking anything for granted. But been telling people that if they care about the future of St. Charles County, they need to vote in the Republican primary, because generally that history has shown us that's whoever wins that usually goes on to win. And I was very pleased to see a great turnout yesterday. I mean, decent weather. 2 years ago, a lot of people became concerned when Bill Eigel beat Mike Keogh in St. Charles County in the Republican primary. And a lot of people were very surprised by that fact. What we discovered when we did some research was that in November 2 years ago, 92,000 St. Charles County voters voted for Mike Keogh, the Republican, for governor, that did not even vote in the Republican primary. So what was developing here was a Republican primary that a very small percentage of Republicans were actually participating in, and it was like 20%. I think yesterday it was double that. It was 40%. So we felt if we could get a good turnout, that we'd have a real good chance of winning, and we did.
What gave you the edge, do you think?
You know, they're really, as far as the issues are concerned, there wasn't a lot of distance between the three of us. But there was a big difference in style between Bill Eigel and myself. And
what do you think was the difference?
Well, the difference was, I like to think of myself as a uniter and not a divider. Senator Eigel, of course, made a reputation for filibustering bills and killing bills in the Senate. And I was in the Senate, and senators have the ability to do that. They did it. He did it to such an extent that I remember that was here. They only had 37 bills the whole time. The point, though, was he had a hard time getting along with his fellow Republicans. And in this job, you can't filibuster bills. You've got to pass bills and get things done. And to do that, you got to be able to work with at least 4 of the 7 people on your county council. You've got to be able to work with the State Highway Commission, because so much of what is important to our growth is the roads and bridges. So you have to be able to go up there and convince them to give us our share. Have to be able to work with the mayors, and we've got 5 large cities and some smaller ones here. It's very important that the county executive be able to work with those mayors, because our road board process involves us all working
like
together.
East-West Gateway, for example.
Yeah, well, and that's the next example I'm going to, and that's the one, maybe the most important, because that's where whoever's in this position deals with the executives in St. Louis City, County, Jefferson, Franklin, and also the 3 counties over in Illinois, Madison, St. Clair, and Monroe. And down at East-West Gateway, that's where a lot of this federal transportation money is divvied up. And again, there's some people down there that are good Republicans, and there's others that are good Democrats. And in the past, I've been able to work with them, make sure we get our fair share out here. And that's why I think people realize that killing bills in the Senate is one thing. Getting things done on a regional level and working with people in both parties to get things done around here requires some different skills.
You have run, obviously, you have run in a lot of elections. How many terms?
6.
6 terms. Is this the sweetest victory?
Yes, I've been very lucky. I haven't had very many really tough races. This is by far the toughest and the most challenging. But you know, I don't mind the competition. It's really only the second primary that I've had to run in.
It almost looked iffy.
Well,
When we started out in this race, I mean, because Bill Eigel had done so well in
he
the
had run
governor's race.
statewide. Yeah, he ran statewide.
And so it almost
he-
looked iffy. You jumped back in, and it looked like people, nobody knew.
Well, we did some polling and showed that I could beat him. Didn't guarantee anything. Didn't show me beating him by much. But you know, we had some polling that said I had a chance. So I got back in. But you know, the first primary and the only other primary I had was the first year I ran.
Mm-hmm.
And Ronald Reagan was still president. Okay? And remember Ronald Reagan, his 11th commandment? Thou shalt not say bad things against fellow Republicans. And
Right, I remember
that
that.
was kind of the way it was in the first primary I had. You just kind of said what you wanted to do, and you didn't necessarily attack people. Well, you know, times have changed, and Reagan's 11th Amendment isn't paid much attention to anymore in the Republican Party. I didn't realize to what extent that was until I got in. And my biggest problem, and the thing I'm kind of upset me the most, is there's another commandment that's not paid much attention to. That's the ninth commandment, which says, "Thou shalt not bear false witness against your neighbor and against your political opponent," right? Your fellow Republican. And I just hate to see. There's people out there on the internet that just lie, and sometimes there's even campaign ads that just aren't true.
Did that happen in this race
Yes,
with you
yeah,
and Eigel?
It did, and I spent. It's a shame. I mean, I enjoy debating, and we had several debates.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, we ended up not debating the policy, but debating the facts. You know, there were just certain facts that that we couldn't agree on. So anyway, I hate to see that it's come to that, politics, and I just am concerned that going forward, if people have to deal with that, you're going to have good people that have a good job and a great family and a spouse that loves them and plenty of friends. Why would you get into politics and have to listen to all these lies? And you're going to end up with reasonable people who aren't going to want to run, and then we're going to end up with the extremists in both parties controlling things.
If you win the general, if you retain that, and that looks really good, what are going to be your priorities for St. Charles County going forward?
Things are going well. Number one priority is not to screw it up. People are still moving out here. We've got a lot of challenges because people are moving out here. You know how much money, though, in the 19 years I've been county executive, you know how much money we've spent trying to attract people to St. Charles County? Zero. And you know, as people come out here, it's a challenge. It's a challenge to be ready for them. You have to have sewer and water. You have to build the schools that are necessary. So growth is a challenge. But in the last, everybody from the other side of the river that wants to move out here will do it. And after that happens, the whole region will be no growth. And that's what we can't let happen. We need to work together within the region, and if I'm reelected, I want to be part of that team to get this region going. I mean, we need to get people moving in. We need to get people moving in from other parts of the country. And we need for the region to grow like St. Charles County has grown the last decade.
How do you, final question, how has St. Charles County managed to keep crime so low? Crime, the number one issue in our area. St. Charles County and yourself, you've been in 20 years, have managed to keep crime low. How have you done that?
Well, 11 years ago, we went including training in dealing with mentally ill people, and believe it or not, you know, we have a lot of people in our jail who are either mentally ill or have an addiction problem. We're establishing a facility over there so we can start treating them while they're in jail waiting to be sentenced or waiting for a trial. Because generally, if they plead or if they're convicted and they're put on any probation, they're going to have to do that when they get out. So our thought is, let's get them started. And it's not going to cost the taxpayers anything because we're using the proceeds from our opioid settlement to basically fund a staff that will do that. And hopefully we get those people, get their problems solved, and hopefully we'll never see them again. But those are some of the things that I'm looking forward to doing. And as far as the crime, not only do we have a well organized and educated department, but our police chiefs out here work together very, very well. I mean, we have our county police, but then all the major cities have their police. Our chiefs meet. They're the ones who did the task force 5 years ago when we had all the stolen cars, and they've cut that number more than in half just by making additional effort. Prosecutors prosecuting, judges sentencing. You know, we put more people in jail, but more importantly, the criminal element, I think, gets the message that, hey, if you're going to steal a car, there's better places to try to steal it than St. Charles County. Best news, last year, we cut our murder rate by 33%. It went from 6 to 4.
4 homicides.
Yeah.
In the entire year.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's 4 tragedies that will continue. We like to get it to 0, but that just gives you a way to, when you start comparing that to some other areas. We're very lucky, but it's not all luck. It's hard work. It's planning. It's having dedicated people in law enforcement, and those people in law enforcement working together, and not just out here, also working with St. Louis County and the other jurisdictions. Those people that we start chasing them out here, man, first thing they do is head for the bridge. But you know what? People in Bridgeton and Maryland Heights and St. Louis County, they're there waiting for them.
It's part of the reason that St. Charles County elected officials, just like those in Madison County, seem to be very supportive of law enforcement.
Yeah, it is, and that's why...
and that sends a message to the bad guys.
It sends a message to the bad guys, and it also makes it a lot easier for us to recruit new people. I mean, if you're thinking about being a police officer, it's a whole lot easier job in a county where most of the people love you. Okay.
Including elected officials.
Including the elected officials. And, you know, boy, when I was in Jeff City 20 years ago, law enforcement was not a divisive partisan issue. The Democrats that I worked with up there, they supported their police just as much as the Republicans. But of course, we had this episode in the city, which I think we're over now. And I think
you mean in the county?
No, I'm talking about the progressives in the city.
Okay, yeah.
Defunded the police.
Well, yeah.
Defunded the police, and I don't know how many police officers are down.
Right. 300. Yeah.
You've covered that story. We need to go through it. But I think we're back, and And we have some Democrats in the city now that understand, hey, we need to make our police officers better. We need
They're
to
battling
train, we
with
need
the
to train
police.
them better. But
The city is battling with the police department. Are you kidding? It's an all-out war with the city of progressive officials and the police department.
well, I hope that the people who are pro-police win that battle, because if they don't, the problem with the crime rate is going to continue, not only to impact the city of St. Louis, but that impacts the rest of us too. People in other parts of this country and other countries, they don't think about, when they think about St. Louis, they think about the region. But when they hear these stories about crime in St. Louis, they think it's everywhere. Well, you and I both know it's not even everywhere in the city of St. Louis.
Right.
It's just certain neighborhoods. But when you get that bad publicity, if people don't look at the St. Louis region, they'll never find out about St. Charles, or they'll never find out about those great areas in the city itself, where it's safe and where you can build a business. They don't find out about it because they don't even look. They don't even look at St. Louis. They think, oh, there's a crime problem there.
And we're talking about companies deciding where they want to relocate. We don't know how many companies have decided not to come to the St. Louis area, how many conventions decided not to come to the St. Louis area because St. Louis is the city considered one of the most dangerous cities in the United States. What you're saying is that's affecting everybody.
That affects us. We had AFG, which is a facility that just right outside St. Charles County. It's a meat packing plant that opened up in Forestdale. I was told, and I went out there and I met with a family. And they have several of these around the country, so they're experienced, and they had other places they could have gone. They came down and visited down here with the Warren County folks. They invited me out. The governor came down. He's a cattleman. He spoke their lingo. Mm-hmm. And anyway, they said, well, we're going to go back home and we're going to make our decision where to go. And when they went back home, it was a father and two of his kids that were running the company. They got together, the two kids said, we can't go to St. Louis. They have a crime problem. And the old man, to his credit, said, no. There's no crime problem where we want to go. There may be a problem down here, but you know, it's not a problem here. And he gave him some statistics, and the kid said, oh, okay, well, good. So there's an example right there. You know, they came close to not going to Warren County, right on the border with St. Charles County, because not of anything going on there, but what was going on in the city and what they were seeing on TV. So we avoided the problem there. But how many other times has that discussion taken place? And they said St. Louis has a crime problem. That was the end of the story.
Steve, thank you. Congratulations on your win.
Thank you. Congratulations on what you're doing. I have a lot of people whenever I'm on, they're looking at you, at what you're doing here, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you.
Well, thank you, sir.
All right.
All right, guys. That is Steve Ehlmann, St. Charles County executive, who just won a big Republican primary, defeating Bill Eigel, among others. That was the chief opponent. But so he faced the general election, but winning this primary gives him a good shot as being able to retain his seat as St. Charles County executive. Of course, I'm going to stay on top of this.